Objectives and narrative of Operation Market Garden. The commonly presented objectives of Operation Market Garden, such as opening a route into Germany or bypassing the Siegfried Line, are often treated with more certainty than the available evidence supports. In reality, the operation's strategic intent appears to have been broader, more complex, and not always fully communicated to all participating units or their commanders. This has contributed to a long-standing historiographical focus that emphasizes Arnhem while overlooking other elements of the plan. A key example of this imbalance is the relative absence of Nunspeet in most accounts. While Arnhem is consistently portrayed as the central objective, Nunspeet rarely appears in the literature. Yet, within the planning of 30 Corps, Nunspeet did feature as a significant objective. Its omission from mainstream narratives is therefore not due to strict secrecy, but rather to how the operation has been studied and remembered. Geographically, Nunspeet occupied an important location within the Dutch railway network near the Zuider Zee. Its capture would have disrupted rail connections between the Western Netherlands and the coastal regions, severely constraining German logistics. Major cities such as Rotterdam, The Hague, Utrecht, and Amsterdam would have been left dependent on indirect and inefficient supply routes, including transport from Stavoren across the Zuider Zee by barge to the west of the country. In this sense, Nunspeet represented a strategic logistical target rather than a symbolic or tactical one. This logistical importance becomes particularly relevant when considered alongside the emergence of the V-2 rocket threat in September 1944. These rockets, launched from the Dutch coast, required reliable rail transport for delivery. With a range of roughly 320 kilometers or 200 miles, coastal launch sites were essential for targeting the United Kingdom. Disrupting the railway infrastructure feeding these sites would therefore have offered a direct way to interfere with V-2 operations. At the time, however, the V-2 program was highly classified. The British government initially concealed its existence, publicly attributing explosions to other causes. It was not until November 11th, 1944, that Winston Churchill officially acknowledged the weapon. While this secrecy shaped the broader strategic context, it did not necessarily mean that all related operational objectives, such as those involving Nunspeet, were themselves hidden. Rather, knowledge of the V-2 threat was compartmentalized and not widely shared, not even with the participants. This distinction is important. Nunspeet was not unknown, but it was not part of the airborne plan. As a result, it fell outside the perspective of those who would later dominate the historical narrative. Most accounts of Market Garden rely heavily on airborne reports, memoirs, and analyses, all of which naturally focus on Eindhoven, Nijmegen, and especially Arnhem. This has produced what can be described as Arnhem tunnel vision, where the dramatic struggle for the Rhine bridge overshadows the broader operational design. Arnhem's prominence is also reinforced by its narrative appeal. The scale of the airborne landings, the intensity of the fighting, and the eventual failure of the operation created a compelling and well-documented story. In contrast, logistical objectives such as Nunspeet, despite their potential strategic importance, lack the same visibility and dramatic clarity. As a result, they have received far less attention in both academic and popular histories. At the same time, Operation Market Garden likely served multiple overlapping purposes. These included securing a Rhine crossing, disrupting German logistics, testing deep, large-scale airborne operations, and countering emerging threats such as the V-2. The latter was of particular concern to senior leadership. Churchill, for instance, was acutely aware of the potential impact of the rockets and discussed the threat with Allied counterparts. Although some of his estimates may have been exaggerated, the urgency of the situation was clear. Disrupting the V-2 supply chain had become a strategic priority. In this broader context, the role of 30 Corps becomes more significant. Its advance was not solely about linking up with airborne units at Arnhem, but about pushing deeper into the Netherlands to achieve wider operational effects. However, because the detailed plans of 30 Corps have been less frequently cited and studied, these aspects of the operation remain underrepresented in the literature. In sum, the dominance of Arnhem in historical accounts reflects a combination of narrative focus, source availability, and analytical bias rather than the full scope of the original plan. Nunspeet's relative absence is not evidence of irrelevance, but of historiographical neglect, shaped by an emphasis on airborne operations and the dramatic fighting at Arnhem. A more comprehensive understanding of Operation Market Garden requires moving beyond this narrow focus and reconsidering the broader strategic framework in which the operation was conceived.